another episode here in your 20s. This is like part 3, part 4, part 5. I don't really care because we're going to do a bunch of these. But this guy doesn't need an introduction. We have the one and only Hanny right here. So, dude, we just came from a protest.
We sure did.
The Palestine protest. My first protest, in fact.
Your first one, the one with Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Genocide Joe, I'm sorry. My bad.
Genocide Joe. Dude, I mean, it's been a year since we've been knowing each other, and you've taught me a lot about the culture. Like, not even just, like, Palestine culture. It's like the Muslim, the religion, you know, all this stuff, and everyone unites together, and I've been a part of the movement, you know, covering the art of war, since, you know, you're behind that, the mastermind, but also to Eddie Mack, the executive producer.
The legend, Eddie Mack.
The legend.
Come on.
And shout out Big Hove, too. He's also part of the group and the movement.
Another big legend.
Biggest one, Exotic Diamonds. But, dude, I kind of want to talk to you about the art of war, because I know we did that in November, December, and we started videotaping it, like all the artists, like behind the scenes, bro.
Yeah.
So now, since it's already out, you guys did the whole project. How do you feel now that it's completed?
I mean, I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel like we did something big for the people of Gaza. And, you know, we've gone platinum, I guess, in streaming for the entire album. We've hit over 1 million streams. So, I mean, it's pretty impressive for just a bunch of friends getting together, putting a project together, and releasing it with no marketing budget, with no big celebrity backing, with no influencer backing. It's just me and the artists that are on the album, and then everybody else that supported us from, like, the, you know, their followers and, you know, people that stand with Palestine and that want to help raise money for Gaza's relief efforts.
One thing that actually caught my attention, not even caught my attention, that, dude, it's phenomenal. You told me about this project, I think somewhere around October. Yeah. It was, dude, like, I feel like I was one of the first people you told me.
Yeah.
And you made it happen a month later. We were at the toy drive, and then you told me, you're like, I'm doing this project, it's going to be big, all this, all that. Literally 2-3 weeks later, you told me, hey, Pedro, come to Fort Knox Studio. We went there, and I met all these artists. I met Abe. I saw Norhan again. I met Eddie Mack for the first time, and you guys were just going to, I think it was the first or second day you guys just started the project, and everyone was already cooking.
Yeah. We started the project December 26th, the day after Christmas. And I know we talked about it in October, and then during the turkey drive, like you said, then we executed it on December 26th. I reached out to Eddie Mack, which, you know, a lot of people know who he is by now. He's the man behind The Sound of War, which is a hit song that he dropped right after October 7th. I think maybe a few days after October 7th, if I could remember. And it was just a hit. It went viral, and it's been pretty much like the anthem for you know, the liberation of Palestine and everything that's going on back home.
I know Palestine has been battling this battle for, dude, years, decades.
75 years, 76 years to be exact.
76 years. So why did you start this now? Like, what did you see that you were like, this is the last straw, I'm gonna make some noise, I want my voice to be heard and all these people in Gaza to be heard, and also Chicago to represent it? Like, what made you start this movement right away, right now?
You know, in the past, we have always been worried about speaking out publicly against the Zionist state of Israel, because, you know, in the past, you know, it really was just like the Palestinian community and the Arab community really just kind of, you know, protesting, you know, for Palestine. And this even goes back years and years. I remember as a kid growing up, you know, protesting downtown in the early 2000s and during the Second Intifada, when we used to protest on Michigan Avenue in Upper Wacker, where the Israeli consulate used to be. So, I mean, you know, back then, up until now, you know, it just used to be our community that would just go out and protest. But this time was different. This time was, it was different, man. It didn't feel the same. One, you know, obviously it's a genocide. And it's a genocide against kids. Majority of the people that the Zionist state has killed are kids from Gaza, and mostly under the age of 5. And, me being a new father and seeing the horrific images of the crimes against humanity that the Israeli regime is committing against the Gazans and the Palestinian people in general, even in the West Bank, was just too much to witness and remain silent. Can I curse?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I feel like
Speak from the heart.
yeah, I felt like, at this point, in our lifetime, I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I mean, what are they going to take from us? Right? Our businesses, our money, cancel us? Well, go the fuck ahead. No one cares. Right? So there's kids that are dying. There's kids that are being intentionally killed. Their kids are being targeted. Women are being targeted. Women are being raped in front of their kids and their husbands inside hospitals, tied up. Men are being bombed into pieces. Kids are being blown up. Snipers are sitting in blown up buildings and targeting little kids that are going out to find food to bring back to feed their families. I mean, how could anyone remain silent seeing these horrific crimes? These are the worst crimes against humanity that I think this world has ever seen. And there's nothing that anyone can say that can justify the killing of kids, the rape of women, the massacre of men, the intentional targeting of journalists, the bombings of aid workers, blowing up warehouses that are housing aid that was sent in to help the people. I mean, we're dealing with the worst kind of human animals that I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like these. These are like real human animals that have no soul and no heart.
Would you say they're worse than Nazis? Like back in Germany when they...
Yes, I think that we're living in a time where, you're intentionally targeting kids. You're bombing kids. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that.
I think that's the first thing that caught my attention, where I was just like, why are these innocent kids? Like we were talking about it while we were walking. It's just like, they're not... Forget about tomorrow. They're not even certain the next minute. They're not even guaranteed the next minute that their house is not going to blow up. And I saw this video trending. I think you reposted it too as well, where these kids were just playing with old clothes as a swing, with rubble on the ground, enjoying that 5 minutes, for a playground, what they saw as a playground, or some don't even know what a playground looks like anymore. Or
I've shared so much stuff that whatever I probably shared at that time that you've seen, Israel probably bombed and killed those kids. I mean, they just recently bombed a playground of kids to kill 10 kids in a playground playing.
You think Israel's purposely targeting kids?
Yes, they've said it. They've publicly said it.
Why do you think United States keeps supporting, these corporations keep supporting? Is that about money? What the government's like, is this all about money for them to get money funding? Why are we funding these people then?
Well, I think that our government has been infiltrated, and I think that America is not run by Americans. It's run by a foreign country. I mean, you have congressmen that inside the state capitol are wearing foreign military uniform inside the U.S. Capitol. I mean, what world are we living in? That's not an American military uniform. That's an IDF uniform. You ever watch the movie Salt?
No.
With Angelina Jolie?
No.
It's about...
Justin Timberlake's in it? No, right?
No.
Okay.
It's about, a secret agent that was sent from a foreign country to infiltrate the U.S. government, and when the time was right, basically they used they're already on the inside. Right? They were able to, I can't remember exactly what happened in the movie. It's been a while since I watched it, but they infiltrated the government in the movie. And right now we're seeing that in real life. Our government is being controlled by a foreign country. And I don't think it's registering yet to Americans that we are under occupation by a foreign military.
Well, one thing that I can tell you right now is that what Eddie Mack actually, when I did his podcast, what he told me is just like, this isn't even like a Palestine movement. It's not even just like it's a religion movement. You know what I mean? Like, this is a real thing, man. Like, other cultures are coming in and also supporting Palestine for this genocide. Like, it's a fact. I don't think no one can say it's not a genocide. It's a fact.
I mean, the only people that will say it's not a genocide are the Zionists.
Exactly, too. And I was talking about it with you here in Chicago. Like, you know, it's overpopulated here with more Palestinians and more, you know. So I don't think they're dumb enough to come here. In Skokie, when the Skokie Public Library, when I'm doing homework every Sundays at 12 p.m., just to FYI, there's always like 40 or 50 people huddled around, and it's there is Israel, and they have the flag. And then I keep seeing "bring them home." Like, what does that mean? I actually personally don't know what that means, and I wanted to ask you. It says "bring them home," and then there's pictures, and it says "stop raping our people." I saw that sign, and then I got confused. Right? It's a real question. Like, what does that mean?
Propaganda, right? So, the one thing about Israelis, Zionist Israelis, is every accusation they make is a confession to their crimes. So again, every accusation they make is a confession to what they're doing. So either these people are blind, or they just are part of the propaganda and they just, are helping push that narrative. But when you do research, which is a very normal thing to do before you jump to any conclusion, you should do some research before you say anything about any political situation, right? You want to do your research so you have your facts. Zionists are professional liars, pathological liars, mentally unstable people. They're human animals, right? So they don't think like humans. They think like animals.
Right.
And bring them home, they're talking about the hostages, which Israel keeps killing. The hostages that the resistance fighters took inside Gaza. And Israel has killed more hostages than the resistance group has. And actually today, Israel announced that they're abandoning the hostages. They are no longer looking for the hostages. They're more focused on killing more kids, and they no longer are focused. Their mission is not to get the hostages anymore. So basically, they would rather their people die. Yeah, they're sacrificing their people for a sick man. He's a Nazi. His name is Netanyahu. He's a Zionist Nazi, actually, from Poland. He's not even no one's really Israeli, but most of Israelis are either European, or they're from the LA area, or they're from Brooklyn, or they're from Miami, or somewhere around Europe, right? The Jewish people have always lived in Palestine. They've always lived amongst Muslims and Christians. Jewish, Muslims, and Christians have always lived amongst each other for thousands of years. I mean, Jews never left the land. It's just Zionism just came to the land, right? So they, these people are sick, man. I can't get over talking about how they keep bombing kids and killing kids and burning kids and raping them.
What's the number that you told me when we were walking?
They've killed over 15,000 kids that we know of, right? They're not able to keep count anymore because Israel bombed and killed everyone that was keeping track of the registry and who was dying.
And you don't even know most of these people because they're in ashes, most of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, man. You know, there's some people that like there's nothing left in them, right? Like they've blown into pieces.
But one thing that I do like about the Art of War and the whole vision of it is that you guys are donating 100% of the profits, all the streams that you guys make. Correct me if I'm wrong if I do say something wrong. You're donating every single thing sent from this project to Gaza.
Yeah. So 100% of the streaming revenue will be donated to Gaza's relief efforts. Okay? So 100% of the streaming revenue that the album generates is going to be donated right now. We're working with Zakat Foundation of America.
Mm-hmm.
It's a non-for-profit that's already inside of Gaza, and they're actually based out of here in Chicago,
Okay.
headquartered. And there is a very well-respected woman from our community. Her name is Lena Talib. She's like a community scholar. She speaks to, speaks in our community and talks to groups and guides them. And so I have a relationship with her through family, and she's just an amazing person, and she's someone that I thought that, if there's anybody that I'd want to work with to manage the funds and where it goes, I figured, she would be the perfect person. I felt like, I shouldn't be the one deciding on my own. I feel like, it's a community thing. This album is for the people, from the people.
Okay.
All I did was just put it together. And Zakat Foundation is the non-for-profit that we chose to work with right now. But as the album continues to stream and
Right.
make more money and do amazing things, we want to eventually incorporate other organizations that we can donate to with the album. I expect this album to make tens of millions of dollars in revenue.
For sure. I asked you that question, but you kind of answered it. How do you know who to trust? Because also there's going to be people saying, no, he's going to keep all the profits, right? But you already mentioned how. But how do you trust these organizations that they're going to actually keep their promise and not take the money? Because, we all hear that people just, put in their pocket all these donations and stuff. But, for the people that don't know you, how can they trust you,
Well, it's the intention that counts, right? So my intention from the beginning, before I started this project, when I reached out to all the artists and we spoke with them, we told them that this album, if you're going to be on this album, you have to donate your song 100%.
Okay.
That we work on. And 100% of the revenue will be donated to Gaza's relief efforts. And all the artists that we worked with committed to that. And they did do that. So it's the intention. We put our trust in God. And, I pray 5 times a day, and I pray that, God guides me in the right direction, puts me in the room with the right people, trustworthy people. He knows my intentions and what I want this album to do and what I want it to accomplish for the people of Gaza, specifically the children. And, we just got to do our part, and we got to trust the people that we collaborate with, that they're going to do their part. And I have the strongest faith in my community when it comes to Gaza.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot. Because you also started a Maw Media Group, right? So you're going to be expanding artists too as well. I'm assuming with the Palestine movement, you're doing a lot of projects, man. And I feel like a lot of people don't really know that you're the one behind this movement, like most of it, or organizing these events. Because honestly, you just texted me. You texted me 2 days ago, and you're like, "We're gonna go to this protest." First time ever. Went there. I'm telling you, there was a lot of people. I'm gonna upload it here, like for reals. But Hanny was saying that it gets 2-3 times bigger than this. You said one of the biggest ones, 80,000 people here in Chicago.
Yeah, there was a protest weeks and weeks ago. I think end of last year, there was anywhere between 50 to 80. I think it was like 80,000. I think they said it was like 50. But just looking at the images and like how massive the crowd was, and you compare it to other events that has happened, other peaceful events that's happened where they keep tally of like numbers. I mean, we've exceeded some of those events as well, even here in Chicago.
Well, one thing that I did notice, there were also some cops that were protecting, also nodding their heads like if they were agreeing with the girl on the microphone saying free Palestine from the river to the sea. there was cops like nodding their head that I was observing. So I was just like, like,
I
but-
don't know how many protests it's been so far, but I know it's been every weekend there's been a protest.
Mm.
And a lot of these cops are the same cops that work these protests, right? So, you're hearing chants for, 18 weeks straight, 8 months straight. You're hearing chants. I would think that these cops will probably go home and just like, hey, man, let me do some research. I mean, I've been working these protests for the last 8 months. Like, let me dig into this and see what this is about. Like, this community's consistent. They're resilient. Like, they're coming. They don't stop. They don't give up. Like, they keep going. Why? So I would think that, like, these cops see it for what it is. And, they just have a job to do. And that's what it is.
So I feel like somewhere around August or September is going to get hectic. I feel, hopefully it doesn't happen, but I feel like a lot of, arrests are going to happen in the next couple of months just because the election's around the corner. What do you think is going to happen since the election's around the corner in November? Joe Biden's right now in Chicago. He's right now chilling right now. In fact, we were joking
Genocide
around.
Joe. We don't call him Joe Biden anymore.
Genocide Joe. We were just joking. He probably doesn't even know he's here in Chicago. But what do you think this is going to lead to? Because the election's right around the corner, and this could lead to World War III, war, civil, engagement. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple months?
History, right? History has a way of repeating itself. And we, as humans, for some reason, we don't learn from the past. Right?
Yeah.
So the year 1968, which I encourage, everybody to do research on, right? In the year 1968 was during like the Vietnam War. It was also the year that JFK died. And if I am correct, which I might not be, I think it's also the same year that JFK was assassinated.
Okay.
I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I know Martin Luther King, that's when he was assassinated. And then there was the Vietnam War. So around this time, right now, April and May of 1968, there was college encampments for the Vietnam War that started in Colombia, I believe.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So now we're in 2024, we have college encampments, right?
Yeah.
And that was in 1968, the ones that we look at, for history. And then, it's, in 1968, it spread throughout the country, the college encampments, just like how it is right now. In 1968, it was the Vietnam War. In 1968, Chicago hosted the DNC. In 1968, hundreds of thousands of people migrated to Chicago to protest those 3 weekends, those 3 days of the DNC convention. And if you go look up the history and you look up the videos online, you'll see what 1968 was like during the DNC convention, during a time of war, during a time of civil unrest, and just, what the world was like back then. And if you look at that and you compare it to today's time, nothing's changed. We have the DNC coming up in Chicago. We're involved in 2 wars, proxy wars, and encampments. We like to call them now Little Gaza settlements. There's a senator gave us, they just keep giving us ammunitions. And I like the Little Gaza name for these encampments. I like to call them settlements because Zionists love settlements. They love to go occupy and create settlements on Palestinian land. So we're doing that here. But anyways, in 1968, riots, civil unrest. It was a police riot back then too. And it was just intense. Violence, chaos, looting, I think. There was so much going on. I think that it's going to be ×2 now. I think this time will exceed it.
So I asked you this, and you said this with full confidence. I said, is Palestine going to take back their land in the next 5 years? And you answered?
Yes. I think that it's going to happen within our lifetime, and I think within the next few years, the Zionist state of Israel will not exist.
So World War III is certain to happen because of this.
Yeah, it has to happen.
The start of it, yeah.
It has to happen. I mean, World War I ended the Ottoman Empire, which ruled the world.
Mm-hmm.
World War II ended the Nazis and like the Soviets and all that. World War III will end the Zionist state of Israel. And it's going to liberate all Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
Mm.
And they will be able to go back to living under one land together, side by side, with no problems.
Where do you think the Zionists are going to migrate to?
Probably here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who wants... I mean, so, you know, where would you want a bunch of baby killers, war criminals, human animals? Where would you want them to go? Would you want them to come live amongst you?
Never.
I mean, they already do. I mean, these guys go out there and they kill a bunch of kids and then they come back over here and they go back to like everyday, you know, normal life like it's nothing. There is this coward. I don't know his name. And I hope to never have an interaction with him because he's someone that I think will not be safe anywhere. But he's a Zionist sniper that went to Gaza and killed a bunch of kids.
I saw the yeah.
And then he went to I believe it was like the UCLA settlement, the little Gaza settlement at UCLA. And he I think walked in there and thinking it was sweet, you know, and then they shamed them out of there. I mean, these are the type of people that like walk amongst us. People that kill babies and brag about it. I mean, where are they going to go? America seems to like love funding them. So, I mean, this would probably either most of them will go back to Europe because a lot of them are from there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are from here. I would think Miami, LA, New York. I mean, come to Chicago.
I don't think they're there too.
I beg them to. Come to Chicago. Let's have a conversation.
Right.
See, we're not the kids that these Zionists roll up on. We're not the women that they step up on, right? Do you want to know what kind of people these people are? Look at when they counter-protest Palestinians. Look at the type of people that the pro-Israeli Zionist protesters, who they are, and look at who they're yelling at and who they're arguing with and who they're fighting with and they want to fight. They're fighting little kids, college kids. They're attacking women. Okay, cool. Pull up. We're right here.
I also saw too, I think this was yesterday, that Hamas was accepting the ceasefire. Or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Hamas accepted the ceasefire that Israel laid out. And when they accepted it, Israel decided that they still don't want their hostages yet. I think that they'd rather their hostages to die, like we talked about earlier. They are stuck on just killing more babies. And you know what's crazy is that their argument of why they keep killing babies is that these kids will grow up to want to kill, you know, Jews. I mean, it's fucking crazy to think that. Like, who are you to decide what these kids are going to grow up to be? And so you think it's better off to just kill them? And let me tell you, there is no age requirement for them. They'll kill a baby that's still in their mom's stomach.
Yeah.
They'll kill a baby that's a day old. A lot of the babies that are dying now that they're blown up, they're like 3 months old. They were born into the war and they died during the war. Like, we're talking about human life.
What is, I saw this 2 days ago and I heard them talk about it right now, this protest, Rafah. Or am I pronouncing that right? Like,
Rafah.
what happened there? Like, what was that about?
So when Israel began the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, they forced everyone from the north to migrate south.
Okay.
Right? They told them this is the safe place. This is the area that, you know, we're not going to bomb as much as the other areas. So Israel is losing this war like so bad how bad they're losing, right? They they've lost a long time ago, and so right now they're kind of like self-destructing. So now the safe place that they tell these Palestinians to go to is now the place that they're bombing. They're bombing tents, refugee tents, full of kids, 600,000 kids. They're carpet bombing them, right? Like they're just like dropping bombs on kids.
That's
Like,
messed up.
and you know what's crazy is, you know, we see some of the footage with that gets leaked, and like you see like how like with their drones they follow people around and then they just start dropping bombs on them, right? Like it's like a video game for them. Like they're like holding this remote controller and then they're just like flying these drones around and then they're just dropping these bombs.
Well, that's how we said that it's going to start World War III. We're not going to send soldiers over there. We're going to send drones that then it's going to lead to a nuclear war, right? Or maybe, you know, hypothetically, it might lead to a nuclear war.
Well, you know, the Zionists have threatened to use nuclear bombs.
I read that, yeah.
They've threatened to nuke Gaza. They talk about it all the time. They're like, oh, you know, the quickest way to just kill everybody is just to drop a nuke on them, and we should do it. They actually have a name for it. So they've threatened to use nuclear bombs. And, you know, honestly, you have to believe everything that they say. Like, these are human animals. So they don't think like humans. They think like animals. And they will use a nuclear bomb when it comes down to it.
So this is where I think it's going to happen. Israel starts dropping more bombs. We're going to be like, that's enough. We're, the United States, are going to go fund Israel. We're not going to send soldiers. We're going to go fund them, which is going to start a civil war with the United States. Why? Because I feel like a lot of people, well, I just saw in the Chicago protests, a lot of people are against it. And there's going to be more people coming out saying no. And I think it's going to start a civil war between us, saying stop funding that. You know, that's what I think is going to happen before World War III actually starts.
I think there's going to be a huge civil unrest that's going to happen here. And I think that, you know, going into this election year, you know, you have Genocide Joe and you got Trump. Those are only two options right now. Terrible options. But, you know, this is the most divided the country's ever been. A majority of the country hates Genocide Joe. And then half the country doesn't like Trump. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to get crazy this year. And I think that everyone in America knows that, feels it, and they see it coming. And if they don't, they're just not living in the reality that everyone else is in. And they're living in this like fairy tale world. And they'll probably just be a bunch of junk degenerates during this whole process and this everything that's going on. So it's not gonna be a fun summer. It's not gonna be a fun year for us. It's gonna be, you know, it's gonna get crazy, I think.
How do you think the kids in Gaza, because when this is done, like you said, Palestine's going to have their land back. How do you think with all that trauma, PTSD with the bombs, are they going to overcome that? What do you, like, from a little kid's perspective, I can just imagine what they suffered through, are going through right now. How do you think that's going to impact them in the future? Once this is all settled, yeah, Palestine has their land back, but that trauma is still going to be there for life.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that trauma is going to be there for life. But the one thing about the people of Gaza is they have such strong belief in God that once they read the Quran, they find peace. Because it's just a worldly life. You know, it's temporary for us. You know, we're living to make sure that the afterlife, which is eternal, we want to be in the right place in the afterlife. So, you know, as these kids get older, you know, they're going to be closer to God, right? And they're going to be closer to the holy book, the Quran. And that's going to give them peace. And it's going to ease their pain. And, you know, they're just resilient people, man. They'll overcome it. This isn't the first time. You know what I mean? That this has happened. It's been going on for 75 plus years right now. Gaza's been through some of the worst shit ever. year after year bombings. Nothing like now, but they've been through it. And all it does is just gets them closer to God.
And speaking about children, personal question.
Yeah.
You have a son now. How are you going to educate him? Because once he's like 10, Palestine's going to have their land back. How are you going to educate him when he says, Dad, like, I don't like Israelis, right? You know, it's going to be a tough conversation, and I hear that.
I don't think so, actually. I think that by the time my son is old enough to understand the world, he'll just be reading about it in the history books. It won't even exist. The Zionist state. He'll just read about it, and then I think the questions that my son will come ask me is like, you know, he'll be like, Baba, like, you know, you lived like during these times, like, what was it like? Like, did this really happen to our people? And I'm gonna tell him yes. And then he might ask me like, what did you do? Like, what were you doing? And then I'll let him know that I was at every protest, that I did everything I can on my end. I've sacrificed everything to help our people. I've even, you know, gone to the extreme where it's like I put everything on the line for this movement, and I don't regret not one bit of it. And so I feel good knowing that like I get to tell my son when he reads about the genocide in the history books and of this land.
You might be in the history books too, man.
You know,
He might read about you, see your photo right there. You're part of the like you're actually like I said, people don't know like you're really the puzzle piece, like the main puzzle piece for this movement. Like you've been doing the most. And a lot of people don't realize he runs different companies. He has artists he's signing. You're doing like you deal day-to-day stuff every single day, but you're still not forgetting this movement. So I'm just like, you're doing a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if your son saw you on the history book, because you are part of the history. Like you got to realize that too. Like once this is done, at least Chicago is gonna know you are part of the history.
Well, you know, I'm not doing this for any recognition.
Right.
I like the behind the scenes stuff. But, you know, sometimes like even like doing this podcast, I mean, I've done one with you before.
Yeah.
I've done a couple with you before. We released only one of them. This is not my thing, being on camera. You know, I like to, you know, be behind the scenes because I feel like I can get more accomplished and more done for the movement behind the scenes than I am on the front lines. And, you know, my support goes a long way for this movement. I just think that history will be told, and we'll read about this in the history books. You know, I don't care to be in it. We're not doing this for any type of recognition or any attention. This is solely 100% to, you know, help liberate our people and free them from an occupying force that are human animals that claim to be Jewish, which are not.
Right.
Right. And because, you know, some of the biggest voices right now that are fighting with us are the Jewish people. They have an organization. It's called the Jewish Voice for Peace. They're all over the U.S. They're the ones that are disrupting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we clearly have the support of the Jewish community. So this isn't a Jewish or a Muslim thing. This is a ideology. This is a political ideology, Zionism. Zionism is equivalent to Nazism. Explain to me if you know, and if you don't know, you don't have to explain. I'm not like asking you to explain right now. But like, what's the difference between the two? Nazism and Zionism. Right? Nothing. They kill people, innocent people. They gas people. They put people in camps. And they're both, one committed the Holocaust against the Jewish people, and now the other is committing a Holocaust against Palestinians.
They're trying to exterminate not even just a religion, just like the whole country as a whole, the people as a whole.
Well, the Zionists have almost exterminated Christians out of Palestine,
Wow.
which is the birthplace of, you know, Prophet Jesus Christ, right? They've bombed, I think, every church in Gaza. I don't think there's any churches left in Gaza. Some of the oldest churches in the world.
Wow.
Israel has bombed them. Um, I mean, I think that you can. They're very limited now of how many Christians. I mean, you could probably, count how many Christians are left in Gaza. So they have almost wiped off an entire religion out of the birthplace of Jesus. Yes. And it's the people that follow Jesus Christ.
So if you could go over there right now, or if you were there right now, what would you tell the children? If you were in a house, one of those houses, and there were just kids huddled or behind a chair, scared, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell them to keep going fighting? If you even had a phone call right now to them or FaceTime, what would you tell them?
I would just pray with them and I would ask them to forgive me. Forgive me for not doing enough. Because they need us. And every day that we're silent, they're dying. So with everything that, let's just say me, with everything that I'm doing, they're still dying. So that means I'm not doing enough. So all I could do is just pray for them, tell them to pray for me and to forgive me. Because on the day of judgment, they're going to vouch for the people that help them.
You say you're not doing enough, but at least you're doing something. And one thing that I do want to talk about is that this summer it's going to be interesting. Why? Because you guys are going on tour, The Art of War. So you guys are doing something. So outside of Chicago, you guys are going to impact different states, which, like I said, it's going to bring awareness, not just to the artist, to the brand, like the purpose. June 1st, right? Is the first you guys are going, or when?
Yeah, we have our first show scheduled June 1st. In San Francisco. We got booked for a benefit concert for Gaza. I want to do as many cities as possible. In my head, I came up with the number 15.
Okay.
And I want this tour to follow the campaign trail.
You, Eddie Mack, and Hove doing that whole movement together, right?
And the artists that are on this project.
The artist.
Yeah. It's just really spreading awareness, spreading the message, taking us, the diaspora the Arab Americans, Palestinian Americans, Lebanese Americans, Jordanian Americans, Egyptian Americans, multicultural, Arab. Some of them are mixed, half Mexican, half Palestinian. Half Dominican, half Palestinian. Like, I want to take us on this tour to educate people and talk to people about what's going on. I want to disrupt the election with this tour. I want to change the narrative on Palestinians. Right? And we're going to do that through pop culture, through media, through something like this, podcasts, obviously. I'm going to put a hoodie on. It's getting a little chilly. 1 second.
Dang. The hoodies are raw.
Man, hey, the Art of War merch.
All right.
It's available on our website. Bio. It'll help fund.
But you guys, hoodies, t-shirts, hats, right? You got a lot of stuff, no? We got plus sizes too for all the, a lot of people that be eating falafels, too much pita bread, hummus. No, the gear's definitely fire. The gear's definitely fire.
Oh, thank you. How's my hair look?
Good. I mean, you have the hat, so can't really see either way.
Let's set up some charcoal, man, because we in this for real.
For sure. Here, I'm gonna adjust it. Yeah, with the artist, man. I mean, how many people are on the project?
We have 12 artists on the project.
12 artists.
13 songs.
13 songs.
One artist we were able to get 2 songs on the album for him. Worked great. And then we had another artist, Nudhan, which you interviewed before. She's on 2 songs as well. She's featured on one of them, and then she has her own solo song. She's featured on El Thib's Soul of the Soul. Shout out to El Thib, the fucking legend in Chicago. one of my favorite rappers in the world is Al-Thib.
He's cool.
Yeah.
I like how his personas when he has a ski mask.
Yeah, no face, no case.
Yeah, man. I mean, fact. But anyways, with the tours and all this stuff, when you guys, is it for the whole summer or is it gonna go past?
We're working on it right now. We're
Right.
we're in the middle of building the tour. It's not easy. None of this stuff was easy. It's extremely challenging, financially draining, and with everything that's going on, it's so hard to financially make it make sense because, we're trying to donate as much as we can, but it also requires money to fund like the tour and whatever. So I think that's the part of like where the merch comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The merch sales will help us fund the tour. The merch sales will help us provide careers for the artists that have been speaking out against the genocide of Palestinians, for the artists that have used their platforms to talk about what's going on, that have created music for Palestine. These are artists that are, that have music as their life, and they chose the right side of humanity, which unfortunately being on the right side of humanity means you're not, most likely not going to be able to, work with a major label. So I feel like it's my duty to utilize my resources and my connections to help build something for these artists so that at least they have a career where, they can keep going. I mean, these are the artists that we want to keep amplifying. We want them to keep making music because we know that they're not afraid to use their platform for the greater good of humanity. We know that they can't be bought you can't buy their silence.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to cut you off for a second because I know you're a man that doesn't fear anything, right? This is why
It's not true. I fear God.
Of course. But when I mean by that, it's like you don't fear what's going to happen to you while protesting and doing everything for Palestine. But don't you get a little nervous knowing that you're a father too as well? Being a father, doesn't that kind of scare you?
Well,
a little bit, or do you not care dying for the cause?
I have no fear of it at all. I mean, dying for the cause, I mean, that's extreme, but it'd be the greatest honor.
Okay.
It'd be the greatest honor to even get arrested for Palestine. It's a badge of honor. When you look at anyone that's been out here protesting for Palestine, that's been arrested, that they walk out of that jail smiling. They go into the jail smiling.
I've seen that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's this one guy on Instagram. I fucking love him. I feel like me and him would be really good friends just based off his like personality and his sense of humor. His name is Resistance is Beautiful.
Okay.
And he is a one-man army in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. And he will sit on the corner by himself holding a Palestinian flag, fighting and arguing with racist, white supremacist bigots and Zionists. And he shows no fear. And he made a post one time on Instagram, and he was like, promise me that you will dedicate your social media for the downfall of Israel. And I was like, I promise. I'm going to dedicate my life for the downfall of the Zionist state of Israel. There's nothing that they could take from me that I'm afraid of. Everything's in God's hand. I put my trust 100% into God. And in Arabic, we said, Tawakkal ala Allah. And before everything that I do and every decision that I make regarding, this topic, I pray. And I pray that God guides me in the right direction. And I pray that he protects me and protects my family and protects my people and my friends and everybody, right? So how can I even think of fearing anything, knowing that God has my back? And then on top of that, what are they gonna do here? Honestly, what do you think they would do? It's nothing comparable to what's happening to fathers and people out there in Gaza. I watch fathers picking up body parts of their kids, putting them in bags. I watch fathers holding their dead kids' bodies, kids that look like my son.
So if you were face to face with the Zionists right now, holding their banner, what would you tell them in their face?
I wouldn't say anything to their face. I would wait till they say something to me. And as soon as they say something to me, depending on what they say and how they say is how I'll react.
It's messed up because I saw this social media. I think it happened here in Chicago, where it was a dad and a daughter, no more than 7 years old.
The Paul, when she
Yep.
ripped off the paper and she said, "Fuck you."
Yep, flicked them off.
That's how they raise their kids.
That's messed up.
I mean, these kids are being, DCFS should find that kid. She's being brainwashed to be violent. I mean, that's how you raise your kids? Okay, cool. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell these people, man. They're sick. They're human animals.
With the art of war, I'm seeing a trend everywhere. Shout out Seja. Hopefully I pronounced your name right, because you always correct me on that. She did this movement.
That was pretty good, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did this movement like this. This was like a couple of days, last week or something. She fundraised it and did this event by herself. Made, I don't want to, I'm going to beep the number out. $50,000 she raised for the whole movement. And it was packed. Like all these people supported for the cause. But one thing that I did see a lot was the art of war. Just the merchandise, like it's everywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like the movement's so big that you just can't not acknowledge it, and everyone's united together to like for it, regardless if you guys like each other or not. Like I'm not saying like no one likes each other, but it's everyone has the same vision, you know, and it's the youth, like you said. It's like how you raise these people. And she's my age. She's 25, 24, and there's people younger there at these events that are like 16, 17, 20. You know, and it's gonna, you know, it definitely planted a seed.
Let me tell you something, right? Gen Z, you guys are leading this movement. That generation, resilient, fearless. We're in good hands with them. So I'm not surprised by anybody from your age group and younger that's accomplishing so much for this movement. It's amazing. I mean, they give me the confidence to do what I'm doing. Because as an elder...
You're not that old, but...
Well, you know, if you're 24, I'm 34, so I got 10 years on you. I got a whole decade.
Yeah.
Pretty old, right? If you compare me to Gen Z.
Yeah.
But... I mean, they inspire me every day. And every day that I see how hard they're going and how they're sacrificing their physical bodies, getting dragged out of, like, city halls, getting beat up by cops at settlements, these college settlements. It makes me feel like sometimes I'm not doing enough. And I just want them to know that we see you guys and we support you. And... we're with you all the way. For how far you want to take it, we support. I mean, at least you have my support. So yeah, it's humanity coming together to fight evil. So it's good versus evil, and good always wins. And I think that the Zionists know that their time is up. They're panicking. You can see by the way that they're reacting. You can see by their tone when they talk. You can see like they can't even answer questions. When you question them, they can't even answer the questions that you ask them, because they're so programmed to lie that some questions that they just don't know how to answer, because it's a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie, and then enough lies that you forget which lie you're telling and which lie you're supposed to tell. And anyone that, if you have a debate with any Zionist, they'll 100% lose every debate, because every accusation that they're going to make about Palestinians is a confession to their crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I mean, it's crazy. It's funny because the other day I went to the DePaul encampment settlement. I'm sorry. I went to the Little Gaza settlement at DePaul, and I had like a 30-minute conversation with this Jewish guy. It ended great. he ended up hugging me, apologizing to me, and he showed me hey, like, you got me as a supporter. My whole life I've been brainwashed to believe 1, 2, 3 about you guys, and we've always been told that Palestinians want to kill Jewish people and this and that. I was like, show me every accusation that you're accusing of us. Show me proof. Where did they say that? Where did they do that? Show it to me. Because from how I see it and how the rest of the world sees it, you guys are doing what you're saying that we say that what we want to do to you, but you guys are doing it to us. You talk about 40 beheaded babies. It was debunked. It was a flat out lie. But guess what? How many babies did you guys behead by blowing their heads up? The rape of women during October 7th. Debunked. I'm talking about, like, they still use these, accusations, right? Even though that the same media that reported on this retracted that and debunked it and said it was a lie. So even though those same news media debunked it and said it was a lie, Zionists are still believing that. That's how you know that they are brainwashed. You cannot talk to me about 40 beheaded babies because there was no 40 beheaded babies. If I'm correct, I think only 2 babies died. And the resistance group put out a statement apologizing, saying that was an accident. They weren't not going after civilians. They were going after military. Majority of the victims that died were military. The rape of women? Fucking lies. They sat in a hospital after they bombed everything around it. They held everybody hostage, and then they've raped the woman. They raped pregnant women. Okay? In front of their families. And then they kill them. In front of their families. And then they kill their families. And then they dig up these holes to dump hundreds and thousands of bodies, and they're called mass graves. And now they're just digging them up. Every day they're digging up new mass graves, and they're finding new bodies of, like, Palestinians that were, like, tied up behind their backs, legs. Kids, they even have, like,
shackles on them.
Yeah, but they're, like, little kid ones. And it's like you guys are sick fucking people that you make cuffs for little babies. The fuck is wrong with these people, bro?
Well, there's no lie that we know that the media shadow banning that side of the story.
Yeah.
What are some networks that you would want to call out, or interviewers that you want to call out and would never have an interview with them? Or I forgot his name, but there's this guy, I've seen you repost him too. He's a famous interviewer, but always talks bad about Palestine. Or
Piers Morgan?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy. We made a whole song canceling him.
So if you were here, if I was Piers Morgan, right? I'm assuming you would sit down with him to educate him, or maybe you just don't even want to speak to that guy, right? What would you tell him though, if you were to have a couple?
I don't think I would be able to have a conversation with him, because he is the type that will interrupt, and he's a type that will keep interrupting, and I just feel like it would just be a back and forth thing, and I'm not really into that. You know what I mean? So, fuck him.
So who would you want to have an interview with?
None. No.
And what network would you trust?
No one.
None.
No one. I don't trust anybody when it comes to Palestine, especially the media. If it's not me sitting with someone like you, an independent organization that's not Zionist controlled, not even worth my time, because they'll switch the narrative, flip it, they'll
make themselves look good,
it seem like he's anti-Semitic. And how the fuck am I anti-Semitic when I'm Semitic myself? I'm a Canaanite, Palestinian, from Hebron. In Arabic it's Khalil, which is occupied right now by the Zionists.
Do you think that's why they want to take out TikTok? Because all you see is now Palestine movement, hashtag Palestine, free Palestine. Do you think that's one of the core reason why they want to cancel and ban TikTok?
Yeah, I think TikTok exposed them. I think they lost the narrative and control of the world. I think that TikTok was the destruction of the image that Israel had. TikTok destroyed it.
It's crazy to think about how much power the government has to take down such an app like that.
Well, when you live in a communist country, I mean, we're becoming a communist country. There's no freedom of speech anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There's no freedom to protest. You can't even have a social media platform that goes against a foreign country. You can go against everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk shit about the president of the United States. Fuck Joe Biden, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't talk about the Zionist state of Israel, or you'll be labeled an anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be censored.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be, I mean, cancel culture. I mean, it's funny to me that people still think that that's a thing and that people give a fuck about being canceled. No one gives a fuck about being canceled.
By telling the truth, it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You can't cancel us. We're the culture. Here in this country, we're the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't cancel us. So I think that, it's just crazy. It's crazy how much influence and power a foreign government has on the American government, which makes you question, to back what we were talking about, how we're occupied by a foreign country, our government right now.
What do you think this is gonna end then? Like, what do you think is, I don't even know how to word it, because I know there's gonna be wars. It's certain already. What do you think is gonna happen? Who's gonna back up Palestine? There's so many questions. Like, who's gonna fund them? What's gonna happen to us? What's gonna happen to Israel? What's gonna happen to, everyone knows what's going on right now. So, like, how is this gonna end? It's gonna split us apart, no?
So it's gonna end here in America, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to create this album, which is one of the reasons why I created ML Media Group.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 3 phases that me personally, how I see it should be for at least for me to play the role in helping disrupt the course of our election. Is 1, through music, 2, through media, and 3, through politics, right? So the reason why music is 1, because it's media. It's influential. You control the masses, the audience, right? So like the kind of music that you put out, it's a psychological thing, right? Like it controls people. Like if you're making violent music about violence, and that's what's trending, then you're only gonna experience violence everywhere you go.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
If you take over that narrative and you control that, and you put out music about liberation, but making it sound pop culture so it could trend, I think from there you'll get people to start listening. And when you listen to the album and you listen to like what the artists are talking about, it's deep, it's educational, and it's about unity, and it's about ending the genocide, it's about stopping wars, it's about supporting each other, it's about comforting each other, it's about celebrating with each other, it's about crying with each other, it's about every emotion that you could think of. That's what this album is about. And I think that once this album takes off and it really catches the algorithm that I think that it will, I know it will, from there, it's going to gain a lot more media attention. So at that point, it'll give us more platforms to talk about what's going on.
Right.
Right? And when you have control of the entertainment side and then the media side, and you kind of can like really speak your truth without being censored or interrupted, or people trying to flip it, you're going to be able to influence people from there. And that's when it takes you into politics. When you think of like politicians and when they campaign across the country, well, here, I'll give you an example. Hillary Clinton, she's also a war criminal. When she was running against Trump, I remember at one of her campaigns, she's brought out like Katy Perry.
Mm-hmm.
She brought out Cardi B. She brought out, I think Jay-Z.
Okay.
So politicians fall back on music artists to help influence their election, because the artist, they have the population, they have the youth. And a lot of these people are idol worshippers. So like they worship these like celebrities, which is a, you know, sad thing to do, right? Like, I mean, they focus on what these celebrities are wearing, they idolize them, they reshare them, they want to be like them. It's crazy. So why not do that for us, right? You know, so why don't I create the music, blow up these artists to become famous and massive followings, get in touch with media companies, connect with, you're a journalist, right?
Yeah.
Connect with somebody like you, speak my truth, talk about it. And then next thing you know, I'm going to be sitting with politicians that are pro-Palestinian, and which we have a lot of them in Chicago. You know, Alderman Byron Sanchez, one of the greatest people I've met so far throughout this whole movement. And he's an alderman in Chicago, and he's just a fucking amazing guy. And so, like, you know, I get to, you know, call him a friend. So if he, in the future, let's just say, wants to run for mayor, or wants to run for Congress or Senate, or maybe even president, let's say, I have this media conglomerate where we have music artists, we have podcasts, we have maybe our own news network that we'll start. We have an army of influencers. We have the people, right? So we would dedicate that to the politician that we see is someone that's going to support our people, because the way that we're going to liberate, you know, Palestine, is not going to be through war. I mean, there'll be. I mean, we're on the verge of a world war. I mean, we already are in a world war.
Yeah.
But the way that we're gonna beat them is we're gonna cut their funding. Stop funding Israel. Stop sending them money. Stop sending them weapons. This current administration and this current government that we have right now, they're bought. They're controlled. The Zionist state has something on all these politicians where they've compromised themselves. So now they just have to go along with whatever they're being told to do or say, and whatever legislations they're asked to pass, they have to pass it. But then you have politicians that don't follow that are independent, like Byron, right? So that's what the art of war is to be able to empower politicians to get into a position of power that can help change and dictate the course of this country and bring it back to being American first. You know, focus on your people. We have people here that are struggling. They can't even get by, barely getting paycheck to paycheck. You have infrastructure that's falling apart. You have people that can't afford to buy groceries. You have so many things working against the American people, yet they're told by their government that they don't have money to support them, that there's no money right now. And then yet we see that they're sending tens of billions of dollars to countries to fight these wars that are like, yo, like one war is like, yo, like, I mean, you look at Ukraine and Russia, it's like what the fuck are they fighting for?
Yeah.
Just fucking end it. Stop sending money. Like, Ukrainians are dying every day. They're not advancing. They're losing. And so we're sending money to a losing war, thinking that we're crippling the opposite country financially, which you're not. That the other country's thriving. We're crippling ourselves. And then you get a genocide that starts, and then our country's like, oh yeah, send them more money, send them money, keep sending money. So I think that most Americans believe that, you know, our government is laundering money through these wars. So it goes over there and it comes back into their pockets, a portion of it.
Well, I'm telling you, man, everything's corrupted and stuff, but Hanny, just for the sake of storage and, and for the sake of the battery thing, I mean, this has been like a phenomenal conversation. I think I've had a real conversation, actually, politically, than I think I've ever had here on the podcast. I mean, I'm speechless of what I saw today. I'm speechless of what I've heard today. I don't know, like, am I shocked? Not really, because, our country's fucked up and everyone knows that. But I think it's a really good thing that you and the whole project of the Art of War are educating the youth and other people. And with this, not even event, with this tour, it's going to touch a lot of people and change a lot of people's opinion too. And I really hope it does.
Yeah.
And it will.
It will. I think it's going to do amazing things. I want to say this about the album. The Art of War album, which was executive produced by my friend Eddie Mack. We collaborated with artists from all over the world. Work Rate from the UK. Nurhan, locally, Chicago. Al Thib, locally, Chicago. Little Freeney, a Sudani American from DC. Abe NYC, a Yemeni American from New York. Jaslyn Q, a Dominican Palestinian from Miami. Amira Jazira, a Palestinian pop princess from Chicago. Samia Music, a Lebanese American pop princess from Chicago. Who else? I'm Ladan, a Lebanese artist from, I believe, Scotland, I think. And the legend Sammer Made It. I fucking love that guy. He's funny. And who else? Am I missing anybody? Yeah, I think that's everybody. So, this album was created by the people for the people. This album is 100% going to be donated. The streaming revenue will 100% be donated for Gaza's relief efforts through Zakat Foundation. The merch sales will help us fund ML Media Group, which we're building a multimedia conglomerate. So we have the ML Media Group. Under our umbrella, we'll have the ML Music Group, which is going to be the Art of War and the label that we're going to have that's going to, make sure that these artists have a platform to create an income and continue to keep using their voices, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to get into the media. We'll get into, politics. We'll get into a bunch of other things. And, and eventually it'll turn into this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. But again, 100% of the streaming revenue generated by this album will be going to Gaza's relief efforts. Okay? It's not a portion of the streaming revenue. There is no timeline. This is indefinitely. This is forever. This album will forever be for the people of Gaza. And Zakat Foundation is who we are working with right now. And eventually we'll end up working with other organizations that are helping, the people of Gaza. This album will help rebuild schools, inshallah. This album will help rebuild clinics, hospitals. This is forever. This is to make sure that the people of Gaza, if there's anybody, even after we rebuild Gaza and things are, I don't think anything will ever get back to normal with this much life loss, but when they feel like a sense of normalcy back into their life, they're always going to know that this organization that ML Media Group created with the Art of War album that's dedicated to them, that it's always, always, always going to be there. They don't have to wait for people to donate money to help with whatever cause or whatever it is that they're struggling with. As long as we, the people, stream this album, we can help the people of Gaza without having to put money out of our pocket, if we can't afford to, right? Because not everyone can afford to keep donating, especially like the youth, college kids, young students, younger children. They could just be playing the song and they might not even realize that they're raising money for Gaza. And the reason why we chose Zakat Foundation because of the word zakat. This is our zakat. A zakat is, something in our religion that we have to, do, which is, give back to, the less fortunate and the people of need. And, my life is dedicated to the kids of Gaza and the orphans of Gaza. And I want to help them in every way possible. I want this album to do the craziest numbers. I want it to break all types of records. This is an album with a purpose. This album is not talking about partying. It's not talking about drugs. It's not talking about sex. It's not talking about violence. This album's talking about peace, unity, and love, and bringing the people together. So again, 100% of the streaming revenue that this album generates will be 100% donated to Gaza's relief efforts forever. And that's never going to change. And eventually we'll have a committee, a board, as this album continues to keep growing and it does amazing things, we'll eventually build a committee around it, and the board will get to decide how we allocate the funds to different organizations. Because, I want to help more than just one organization. I think that if this album does $10 million, we don't want to give $10 million to one organization.
Yeah.
We'd rather split it between 20 organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So for the people that watch this video that have not heard this album, I encourage you to listen to this album. The money being raised from this album will help the people of Gaza. It's not costing you anything. Play it, stream it while you're driving, while you're at home. Even when you're going to go to sleep, stream it. Lower the music a little bit so it's not bothering you in your sleep.
Okay.
And the merch, you can find it on mlmediagroup.com. This is the merch that we're going to use to fund our media conglomerate, which is helping push this movement even further, because we have to escalate for Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Every week or 2 weeks, every few weeks, we have a new movement. It went from protesting the streets to now the little Gaza settlements at college campuses. Next thing you know, we're going to be on tour, disrupting every city that we go to, connecting with every organization in every city that we go to mobilize.
Mm-hmm.
Because come November, everything will come back in full circle in November. And we're going to change the course of this country through the election. And we're going to end the apartheid. We're going to end the genocide. We're going to liberate the people of Palestine. We're going to free the Jewish people, the Christian people, and the Muslim people from Zionist occupation. White supremacy and bigots will not be a part of this new world order that we're creating. They will be isolated. And then the people can go back to being free and liberated here in America and everywhere else. So my only ask is stream the album, tag us, ML Media Group, share it, show support, help the people of Gaza. To the kids that are, the college kids that are, doing their thing with these little Gaza settlements. I'm inspired by you. You guys motivate me. And keep doing what you're doing. Hold the line. We don't settle. And we have our demands. And we are not going to negotiate with terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists. So, free the people of Palestine. Free all people from occupation. Let's make America great again. Let's rebuild our economy. Let's create opportunities and jobs for these young students that are getting ready to graduate. I mean, I'm trying with this media company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think of like Fox News and CNN, look how massive they are. If ML Media Group, ML, by the way, means hope. So it's Hope Media Group, but we put it in Arabic, AMG. So this is a multimedia conglomerate that we're going to have dozens of companies probably under us, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
But it takes a village to raise a child. So my first child was The Art of War. And now the second one is the media company. And then so on and so on and so on. So I want to give a huge thank you to all the artists that were on the album. You guys have made my vision come to a reality, and we see it every day growing. And every single artist, I owe everything to those artists that helped me create this project, and I'm forever grateful for you guys. And anything that I can do within my power, with my resources to help continue to keep advancing their careers, I want to do, and I will do. And these are some of the most talented artists I've ever. I mean, creating this album was fucking amazing, bro. Like, it was unreal, and such an unreal experience. Also, really quick, shout out to Herson at Private Stock. Herson owns a studio that we recorded the album in, and he was so gracious enough to allow us to call his studio home for like a month and a half, 2 months almost. And he has learned so much about this movement through this album. He's like, I've learned so much about what you guys are going through just off this album, and watching you guys work and how you guys work and whatever. So it's making a difference. It's making a big difference. And we've hit over 1 million streams on the album. I just think that like it's moving slow, but as soon as it catches the algorithm and the momentum that I think that it will catch, it's kind of up from here. And I think that this is going to be a lot bigger than anyone could have ever imagined. If you're out there and you want to be a part of this media group and you want to help us build, please reach out. mlmediagroup.com. Our contact information is on there. My name is Hanny. Reach out to us on Instagram. Let's do this. Let's keep this movement going. Let's escalate for Gaza, and let's keep fighting. We free the people, free all our people, free everybody that is under occupation. And 8 months into this genocide, and there's still a genocide going on. 8 months into this, and the Zionist human animals are still bombing innocent Palestinian kids and women and men and the elderly and all that stuff. So end the occupation, ceasefire now, hold the people accountable, because if the governments don't, the people will. And just know this, and I'm going to say it here on your podcast, because the next time we interview each other will be when this is all done, right? Next time we sit down and talk, hopefully. We are in the revolution right now. The revolution started. It's not going to slow down. It's either you're a part of it or you're against it, right? And the revolution is only gaining more momentum. And you're going to see during the DNC weekend in Chicago, we're going to have 1 million people migrating to Chicago to support. We're going to have every Palestinian American in America will be flying to Chicago that weekend